Hi there! Before we get started, a friendly reminder. The information discussed on this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. While our guests are knowledgeable in their respective fields, your personal situation may require unique guidance. We encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for personalized advice. Now enjoy the episode. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of AndWon Should Know, where we journey together to find tips and tricks to live a healthier and happier you. So today we have a very interesting topic today. It's something that is kind of wallowed in mystery, I think. Supplements. We're going to journey together to find out more about supplements, how we take it, why we take it, when we take it.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
Andrea, are you on any supplements?
I am on supplements.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been on supplements since I was in my 20s because I know that from my blood tests and all, there were things that I was lacking in.
Right.
Right now, I've been on supplements to boost my immune system
Great.
because I'm also at that age where I'm in postmenopause.
Right.
So there are also many things that I'm lacking in.
Yeah, and I think this episode was really, when we were thinking about it, was around finding out how to take supplements. I think there's just so much out there right now and so much information on supplements, and we all know we should maybe be supplementing, but how do we supplement and with what? So I think that was really the catalyst for us to delve into this particular topic.
That's right. So today we actually have Rosemary Cheng, a dear friend of mine, whom I'd like to do some catching up with because I have not seen her in a while. Yeah, something
Excellent.
happened very recently in her life. Rosemary, you need to share that with us.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you very much, for this kind invitation. I think that the timing was also just nice, because in June, just a few months ago, I suffered a very bad stroke. Yeah, and I almost lost my life actually. Yeah, because the stroke was at the cerebellum in my, which is like on the near the brain stem. And it was actually a location that controlled the functions of the body, like breathing, like your heartbeat, like your stomach, like speech, thoughts, yeah, even your eyes. Yeah, and it hit there, and it was a very bad one. Yeah, but strangely enough, I recovered. I was very ill for the first week, the first couple of weeks, but then after that, I just, with some physiotherapy help, I got better. So I actually went to work. So I felt sick on Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I actually went back to work and I met with people, with my friends.
Yeah.
But all the time I didn't feel good. Yeah. Throughout all of that, I said that, I told him I had this very strange fear. I felt like I was having PTSD because I'm so afraid that that feeling would come again.
Right.
But then when Saturday came, I started to throw up. Yeah. But I started to retch. And then my son, Samuel, one of my sons said, "Mommy, I'm just going to call an ambulance for you." And I said, "Yes, please do that." Yeah. So they came very quick. I must commend our ambulance in Singapore. They were so good, the service. And I think that I suspect that my son must have told them that my mom has very bad food poisoning. Yeah, that's why I said, because we all thought it was food poisoning. Up to that point in time, I did not imagine that it was stroke. Okay?
Yeah, because you were presenting like vertigo or just food poisoning,
That's right.
Yeah.
So how is it, did the doctors explain, how is it that you could have had a stroke and still be able to carry on your daily activities for the next 4 or 5 days
Exactly.
before it happens again?
Yeah.
Like, how? Normally, as far as we know, you have a stroke, and next thing you know, you're in a hospital bed.
Exactly.
And they're trying to save your
Yeah,
life.
correct.
Yes.
That was where it got even more interesting
Yes.
because they didn't know. And
That
they
you had
couldn't-
a stroke. At that point, they
They
still
didn't know. Yeah, they didn't know. All they knew was that I had food poisoning because I kept wanting to throw up. I just kept retching.
my
Then they say, "How's your diarrhea?" And I said, "I don't have diarrhea." So I thought, very strange. So severe, the food poisoning,
Yes.
and no diarrhea, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was just coming out one end.
Yeah, just coming out one end.
Yeah, usually it's both
To
ends.
both ends, yeah. Sorry, don't mean to be rude,
It's true, but it is.
But this is what happened, right? So immediately after, when the doctor had spoken to me and given me the news, I was, of course, in
shock. Yeah.
I was in denial.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was in denial and in shock, and I'm thinking, how could it be that anybody with stroke now still feel okay?
What do you think you did right in your life that made this stroke somehow not as bad as it
Yeah.
should have been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I asked the doctor what was the cause of this, right? Because the dietitians came to see me, and then they were like, I think you should eat a little bit more. You see, not the other way, because they'll come and say cut down on all these food, right? Yeah, and I had different dietitians. Okay, they saw my food and they said everything was fine. So food was not a cause, because a lot of people think that if you get stroke, it's because you have bad eating habits. Your cholesterol will go crazy, and therefore one way is to reduce that. At my
your
age,
case?
I'm going to be 61, right? And the thing is that they think maybe you're not exercising. So I don't really exercise like I go to the gym, but I'm very active. I run around a lot, I walk a lot, I do a lot of gardening, and I'm active all day. So then even the physiotherapist felt, you have enough activity. So I said, so what is the cause, right? What's the potential cause? And they said it's mostly familial, which is family history. Yeah. Remember I told you that my dad
Yes.
had
Yes.
it, right?
Yeah.
And then actually I lost 2 cousins to stroke.
I see.
Yeah. You see, when my father had his stroke, I discovered I'm a scientist by training.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was working for the United Nations for a long time. Yeah, like almost 8 years as a scientist with the UN. And I told myself, I said, girl, you're so highly educated, right? And you are a life scientist. And you can't even save your father. Surely there must be something at that time.
Right.
2007. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I felt, okay, this is very strange, right? Okay, never mind. Pray about, think about it. Then I met a girlfriend who is also very senior, also another scientist girlfriend, And then she said, give your father antioxidants, And I thought, antioxidants, wow, okay, let me work on that. But prior to that, I had read a very interesting book by a professor called The Antioxidant Miracle. Yeah. And he talked about this special class of antioxidants that only exists in the world. It's a special class. It's 5 members. Yeah. And then I read it. Then I said, is this really going to work? Okay. Not available in Singapore at that time. I went everywhere to search for it, cannot find. Nobody sold it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I asked my husband to help me, and then he managed to find a link.
Yep.
And he said, somebody's doing it in America. Do you think that this could be it? And I said, Muhammad, let's try. And then I hooked up with a guy, and he also was a fellow scientist.
I see.
Yeah, working on this thing. Yeah.
So, Rosemary, your education prior, just for the listeners to know, you said you studied science. What
Yeah.
type of science did you study?
Sure.
in?
I have a master's degree in botany because I do tissue cultures.
Okay.
Yeah, so I clone things.
You clone things.
Yeah, plants. Yeah, plants, not humans.
Oh,
Not
interesting.
animals. At that point in time, it was quite high tech. Of course, now you get overtaken by other things. It's been so long ago. Yeah.
So
Right.
with this
um,
antioxidant
yeah.
network book,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
5 that you discovered,
Yes.
what happened after?
Yeah. So after I did that, okay, I gave it to my father. Okay, I got it. I got the base. Okay, I gave it to my dad. Okay, and then this was 17 years ago. Okay, and then I also took, because 17 years ago I'm not who you see here today. I was actually very sick. I was grossly obese. I had sleep apnea. I had sciatica. I had cervical spondylitis.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot walk, cannot move. Yeah, and I just spent all my time in the hospital. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that's right. That was 17 years ago. So I said, this is really bad, and then I said I will try, and I gave it to my dad. Okay. Anyway, so not talking about that. So Daddy recovered
Wow.
from it. Yeah, he recovered from his stroke. Okay, but the
With
doctors.
with your antioxidants.
Yeah, with my antioxidants. I gave him this and said, I told my mom, Mommy, you give it to Daddy, and he recovered. And then finally when he was 80 years old, his doctor discharged him, and he lived till he was 83. I mean, he was in his early 70s when he got stroke.
My
And the
goodness.
doctor actually told me, I remember, the doctor said, be prepared that you will have another stroke, and that a major stroke, and that will be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that it helped me, okay, by building up an antioxidant advantage in my body. These 5 supplements do very special things. We eat 4 of them. We don't take 5.
Okay.
So I developed a formula. It's licensed to me.
Okay.
I own it. Okay. My own formula. Yeah. And what happens is that there are 4. Okay. It's actually called alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, vitamin C, and vitamin E. Okay.
Wow,
4. Okay. But what happens is that when you take these 4, they help in cellular regeneration. So your cells, gets cleaned up. It removes the toxins. Okay. And then your liver cells especially produce the 5th antioxidant.
Glutathione.
That's right, good girl. Amen. Yeah. So when glutathione comes out, your body goes through this a sense of wellness, and recovery, right? Because glutathione is the master antioxidant in your body. A very strong and healthy body will have a lot of glutathione. That's why the young people don't really fall sick. So when we are younger, we are actually quite strong, And then when you hit 40, oh my God, then all the problems come. Sorry. I mean, that was what happened to me.
Yeah.
When I was 30, I was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything can.
Yeah, anything can do. And then I was 40, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what happened. And then I got sick and all the issues, all the problems, right?
Yep.
And then, so therefore, this is scientific.
Wow.
And it all had to do with the liver.
That's amazing. Yeah, because they always do say, I mean, as you start reading the literature, they always tell you that plants can heal you. So it's amazing that you actually study botany to be able to then procure this for yourself.
That's right.
So you understand what you need.
Yes.
So it was CoQ10, you said.
CoQ10, alpha lipoic acid,
Alpha lipoic
vitamin
acid.
C,
And vitamin
E,
which then helps to release
to heal your liver. And then your liver cells so healthy that they produce glutathione.
Glutathione.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
You see, it's a science.
So you've mentioned these supplements, and all these supplements you can get over the net on e-commerce
Yes.
so easily. But let's talk about how reputable just buying supplements off the net.
Completely irreputable.
Irreputable.
That's such a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ever do it. Yeah, because it is very dangerous. And the danger is because in e-commerce, there is no authority.
Yep.
There is no check, no balance. So you don't know who you are buying from and what you are buying.
But is there a way for, I guess, the audience to, have just like a basket of tips and tricks on what to look out for? How do they,
how do they know?
How do they know
if they're legit, right?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
their ingredients are legit.
Is there like a governing body that they need to look at?
Right.
Like NSF, for example, or something like that?
Yes, there are. And that's why I took so long to find, firstly to decide that I wanted to make my own supplement.
Okay.
Because I'm my own consumer.
Yes.
Yeah, I take it, my children take it, my dogs take it, my fishes take it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's on it, my mom, my mother-in-law, and because I could not be sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was very doubtful. I didn't know, should I take this, should I take that? Is it safe, is it not? Because it gets very complicated. Yeah, even now with my level of education and understanding, it gets very complicated because I do get a lot of people still telling me, hey Rose, try this, try that, and I'm like, how do you put a stop? So that's why I make my own. Yeah. So you're asking about governing body there is. So I found, and that's what I do now. I only sell Health Canada licensed product. Yeah.
Health Canada.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Health Canada is a very interesting, Health Canada is like Ministry of Health for Canada. That's why they're called Health Canada. Okay. So Health Canada assures its population, the Canadians, have access to safe and reliable or safe and effective supplements.
But how do people know it's synthetic?
Okay, firstly, if it's a genuine label, I need to qualify that because if you buy online, there is a big danger that what you are buying, you're unsure of whether what you're buying is what it is. Okay, and that's why HSA, I was in Singapore, they do not regulate supplements that are on the shelf. They don't regulate. There's no regulation per se.
Right.
But what they do is that they, they tell you to buy from a reputable source and a brick and mortar. So that's why Elixir has our own shop. Okay? Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, they can go and pick up and then they can check. Yeah, because if you buy from online, there is no way to find out where are you buying this from. Yeah, who are the sellers? You don't know. Okay, so it's very dangerous. And HSA said, try not to do that. Okay, that's the first thing. Even if it's very cheap, and of course it's very cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first thing. Supplements come in forms. Yeah, because they're like minerals.
Yes.
Yeah, so minerals will have scientific names. So from the scientific name, you can actually know whether this is synthetic or this is natural. Yeah, and also from the scientific name, you can actually find out. You can actually ask, where is it derived from? Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why I have control in a way. So I know exactly where my supplements are coming from, and that every single one of them, because it's a multi-ingredient supplement, is actually tested, and checked before it's actually put into the pill that I will swallow, right? Yeah. Now, why is that so important? Why the check is so important? Is because it's multi-ingredients. So if you are taking a supplement, like a multivite, for example, usually they let it go because multivites, the concentration is very small. Yeah, anything that is not going to cause you much harm. Okay, but if you are taking, a multi-ingredient formula, then it's critical that you have to check the formula, because not only because of dosage, but also because of potential contraindication. Because some items you cannot put together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So if you mix it together, it can cause negative side effects in you. Because some vitamins, when you take, will inhibit the absorption of others in you.
And is that why there are some vitamins you should only take in the morning, some in the evening?
For some, they try to make you do that. But generally, it really doesn't matter, except for example, like vitamin D. Okay? Now, vitamin D is made by our body, and it's when the sun is shining. So I would usually suggest to my clients, take your vitamin D when the sun is still up.
Right. Yeah, because I've read that magnesium is better taken at night.
Which one?
Magnesium.
Oh, yes.
Especially glycinate.
Okay, yes. Okay, I also take magnesium glycinate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a reason for that. Actually, magnesium can use any time in the day.
Oh.
Okay? Yeah, because magnesium is one of the most important mineral. Okay? It is used by 800 over different biochemical reactions in the body. So your body is using magnesium for a lot of things, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have no energy, you take it in the morning, okay? And also remember glutathione?
Yep.
Yeah. So why is it so important? Because magnesium is a catalyst. So without magnesium, your liver cells cannot make glutathione because it burns the 3 amino acids, glycine, glutamine, and cysteine together, and then make glutathione.
There are different types of magnesiums that you
Yes.
should be taking at different times of the day as well, right?
Correct. But actually, magnesium is magnesium, but it could be bound to something else. Okay, so magnesium glycinate, that means that it has a glycine in it. Yeah, so that's good because it will break up, and that glycine can go and make glutathione. It's wonderful, right?
Right.
Yeah, because it will split. It will be in the body. So if you have, why do you take magnesium glycinate at night? It's because it helps with your sleep. It is a mineral for relaxation. It helps your body to relax. We are like a major computer. There's lots of things going on.
Yes.
And then at night when you are sleeping, it starts to kind of put everything away. Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't want to have like short circuit. Because your reactions cannot complete.
Yep.
So when you take the magnesium, right, and you find that, wow, I never had such a great sleep. Yeah, that was because your body was very relaxed and you were able to process all your information. And so when you wake up feeling really fresh. Like wow, that was the best sleep I've ever had. Yeah. So so that's one of the purpose of taking that particular magnesium.
What about something like prebiotic or probiotic?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, some people say you have to take it with food.
Yeah. Okay. Prebiotics and probiotics are different things.
Yep.
Okay. But they are similar, they are related, because prebiotics are the food of the probiotics. Yeah. So you eat, so that's why you take it with food, okay, like fiber, so you have your prebiotics. Okay. Now, probiotics have also many forms. Probiotics come as bacteria, or you can have probiotics as fungus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're highly specialized probiotics. Elixir, Botanica, we have very specialized probiotics to treat certain people who need it for certain conditions. Yeah.
And to carry that line of thought, what about supplements? Because I've also heard that supplements you should be eating after food, or so that they have something to bind to, and
Shouldn't
not
or
on
should?
and not to take vitamins on an empty stomach. Is that true?
Well, you can take vitamins on an empty stomach. Some people do. Because actually, some vitamins, when you take on an empty stomach, is absorbed better. Yeah. But
Okay.
I personally, in the morning, my first dose, I like to take it after my breakfast because I'm older now. When I was younger, I had no issue. Yeah, I was able to do it.
Yeah.
But then I found that because Vigor Cells does a lot of things, and one of them is blood sugar control.
Yep.
And then it's also energy giving. It's an energy booster, right? So it needs food. So I found that because now I eat very light dinners.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I was taking like a very heavy dinner and then I eat it the next morning on an empty stomach, it was fine. Because I still got lots of sugar floating in me. That will just be burned off when I take my Vigor Cells. But because now I don't, so it's not so much. So I eat it with my my food.
But this is Vigor Cells in particular.
Correct. Other ones
Other
also similar,
supplements?
It really depends. Yeah. Because like for example, some people when they take especially vitamin C's, okay? So vitamin C, what happened is that it can react with the stomach acid. And then it can cause like a burn sensation. Yeah. So it's a ascorbic acid reaction.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not that it's a bad thing or you eat it and you're getting a negative reaction or anything like that. A negative reaction would be like suddenly you break out in hives, you get or you feel really bad or
So maybe we can talk a little bit about vitamin C, because I think that's widely, everyone consumes it pretty regularly.
Sure.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about vitamin C and water soluble ones versus the ones that are non-water soluble. I mean, the ones that you take just as a tablet, because they have the fizzy ones.
Oh,
The fizzy
okay. Oh,
yeah.
you
And
meant that way.
is there one that's more bioavailable? In terms of like absorption, like which one would you recommend?
Okay. Now when it comes to vitamin C, okay, vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit of science here.
Yep.
There are two types of vitamins in that sense, that there are soluble vitamins and insoluble vitamins. Okay. Soluble vitamins in water is B and C. So water soluble or insoluble in water. Okay. Insoluble in water is called ADEK. ADEK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adik.
Adik, brother.
Brother, yeah. So your brother, Adik, okay,
Fat soluble.
Fat soluble. They are not soluble in water, but they are soluble in fats. So if you are taking, and it's only these numbers.
Yeah.
It's only BC and Adik, okay? Yeah. That's all, right? Yeah.
So can supplements be a replacement for meals? If you're taking supplements, do they replace a meal, essentially?
No,
Good to know.
you can't. Okay? Because the best way for your body to receive all the vitamins and minerals that you need is through your diet,
Right.
right? So it is very, very important for you to eat a well-balanced diet. Yeah. So a well-balanced diet would include 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
Which we don't do 10 servings
Correct.
though, right?
So nobody does 10 servings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also you cannot eat too much fiber because you're going to end up with bloated stomach. Yeah. So of course that's where the probiotics will come in, So what you can do, all right, is that if you think that there are certain, maybe certain vitamins lacking, then you can supplement for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hence the word supplement. You're supplementing your main diet.
That's why it's called supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not called replacement. Yeah. Meal replacement is only used for people who cannot eat. You cannot replace your meals just by taking supplements. It is a very bad idea, Yeah. In fact, you should get most of your vitamins and minerals and things for a good you, healthy and all that, through your food. Yeah, and what it is that you eat. Yeah.
Right.
Now, meal replacements we only use when people are sick and where they cannot eat. Okay, then you have to give them something. Or they are fussy eaters, and some children and they're refusing to eat their meals and all that. Then you say, okay, I'm going to supplement with something, and usually it's proteins. Yeah.
Okay.
Because proteins are very important. We need to have proteins.
Yep.
And many people don't eat enough protein. And especially as we are aging, having sufficient protein is actually quite critical for our body, for our nerves, for our movements, our muscles, our cells, regeneration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, can we speak a little bit about probiotics?
Now, when we talk about probiotics, thank you for asking that question because it's such an important question. Now, there are two things, okay? There's a prebiotics and there's a probiotics. The prebiotics is the food for the probiotics. And you need to feed your probiotics because they hardly eat much things, yeah. And you need them to grow in you, okay? So prebiotics come from vegetables, yeah. So they are, like celery roots, when you eat root vegetables and all that, it's like the roughage and the fiber that your probiotics can feed on. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, when we talk about probiotics, okay, probiotics are very critical because they're part of our immune system. I think very few of us understand that in our intestine, they have little colonies. And if you look at it under the scope, you will actually see like little patches, and they're called Peyer's patches. Peyers. Okay, go Google that. Okay. So you have these Peyer's patches, and they're not like nodules or lumps. They're not like cancer or anything. Okay, but they are actually just colonies of bacteria that lives in you, and they're just like little bumps. Okay. And what happens is that when food is transiting through you, when they're maybe a bug or a virus that's going through your system, it will be detected by these colonies. And then these colonies will actually help to send a signal to your immune system, to come up with the defense and the soldiers to attack the enemy. You see? So that's how our body heals itself. That's how our body fights for itself, right? And it's all inbuilt. Yeah. So that's why one of the reasons also I am not an advocate of alkaline water. Yeah, just bring it in here. Because you do need your intestines to have your bacteria to be living in there. Don't try to be too clean. Maybe I should eat more vitamins. Maybe I should be very clean. It's like okay, to have some dirt in you. Yeah, and some bacteria growing in you. It's okay. It's good.
It's good. Okay.
It's good. So when it comes to probiotics, just remember there are two types, there's fungus and there's bacteria, but whatever the type, they are alive. So the probiotics that you take has to be living organisms. But a lot of people don't realize that, and they think it's just like a supplement that I eat.
Yeah.
But a vitamin is dead, right?
Yes,
in that sense, right? Mineral is just mineral.
Exactly.
Yeah, but probiotics are not. They're living organisms.
Exactly.
So you need to make sure that your the probiotic source that you're taking is alive.
It's a live culture. Yeah.
You got your answer.
I did. Yeah, exactly.
She was asking me earlier what sort of probiotics I take.
It's
and
alive.
I said, we can ask Rosemary that.
That's right. Now, there are also many forms of how to keep it alive.
Yes.
That's the next thing you have to ask. Like, if I buy from the shelf, is it alive? Then they'll say, of course it's alive. You see, it's refrigerated. We kept the temperature down. You get it from a refrigerator. I said, sure. Because these are can only be kept alive in the refrigerator, okay? But what is their supply chain like? How is it coming from the manufacturer to you to put you on the shelf?
That's true.
You have to ask questions like that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that could this be the reason why a lot of people the science behind probiotics is given. You cannot argue. But then why is it I take and I don't get better?
Because of the supply chain being broken.
You never know.
So you're taking, but you're not seeing any good effects from it.
Yeah. And you're not getting better. And you're wondering why you're not getting better, right? Yeah. So, so this thing with supplements is important, getting it from the right source.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, the probiotics I use, we have two types, okay? We do have some that must be kept refrigerated, okay? But we also have those that are shelf stable.
Okay.
So they are specially formulated to stay alive and not die on you when they are on the shelf.
Now, if there are just a handful of supplements that anyone or everyone should have in their fridge that they have to take on a daily basis, what would you recommend?
5 things. Yeah, I mean, the first one is the antioxidant blend, okay? The second one is omega-3, and then vitamin D. The vitamin D I recommend comes also with vitamin K. Okay. Yeah, it's a combination because vitamin D is actually used for a few things. Number one is immune support. Without vitamin D, your immune cells cannot activate their functions. They cannot work very well. Probiotics, for good gut health. This is general.
Yep.
And then the final one that I have is pine bark. It's very good for your blood vessels.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also very good to control high blood pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm using now, that I'm off the doctor's medication.
Wow.
Yeah, to help in my recovery. Yeah,
Wow.
that's all.
I'd just like to know one thing about CoQ10. What does CoQ10 do that we are hearing a lot about as well?
CoQ10 is made in the liver. Okay, our body makes CoQ10, right? Our body makes lipoic acid, CoQ10, but it doesn't make vitamin C and it doesn't make vitamin E. Okay, so I just letting people know. Now, CoQ10 is so critical. It is made in our liver, and it's also made in our cells to a smaller degree. Now, when you take, for a lot of us, if we are taking a statin drug, okay, to control our cholesterol. So what happened is that the statin drug is working on the same pathway how your liver makes CoQ10. And so if I block the pathway that makes cholesterol, so my cholesterol drops, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, my CoQ10 also drops. Because I cannot make, it's the same pathway. It's on the same road, left or right. And I just block you at the beginning of the road.
Right.
Yeah. So and that's why people are getting like effects from taking statin drugs.
Yes.
Fatigue, muscle ache, tiredness, brain fog, right? So these are all the functions, the benefits of taking
see.
CoQ10.
Which is very good for women in postmenopausal
Yes.
stage in their lives.
So we have a section here on And One Should Know about debunking myths, because we do have so many myths out there, especially around supplements. So the first myth that I have is that all vitamins on the shelf are made equal. Is that true, Rosemary?
It's false.
It's false. We should be looking into it, not just randomly taking.
Yeah, you should really be looking carefully into it. You should read the labels. Always read the labels. And then if you have a label that just tell you, oh, this is a patented formula, ABC, whatever it is, then all your fillers should go up already.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it's a natural supplement, we can't patent it. Yeah, because
good
a natural
tip.
substance, you cannot patent.
Very
There
good
is no
tip.
way you can patent natural things. You cannot patent oxygen, you cannot patent air.
Very
So you
good
cannot
tip.
patent natural supplements.
Okay.
Awesome.
If I'm not eating a meal today, I can just take supplements.
Well, if only just for today, okay, fine. But not if for long term, no. You cannot just take supplements to replace your meals. No, you cannot. Because it's not complete.
And last one, last myth. I should just take whatever supplement I feel like.
I think that's a bad idea. Yeah, because, if you don't need it, then why are you taking it? Just because your friend told you, maybe, Yeah, but I think that is really not necessary, because more is really not the best thing to do.
More is not necessarily more.
More is not necessarily more. What is best is have what you need.
Eating pre and probiotics will give me good skin.
In a way, yes, because actually, in the nature of our business, we actually use pre and probiotics to help people who have eczema, and which is a very serious form of skin condition. Yeah, so definitely, if it will help somebody with eczema, it should help you to have even more beautiful skin.
So, Rosemary, we have one last myth for you to debunk for us, and that's vitamin C. I think recently there's been a lot of buzz going on with consuming vitamin C and that having a good effect and brightening effect on the skin. Is there any truth to that?
I think yes, there should be some truth in it, because vitamin C is a critical component of collagen. So if you take a lot of vitamin C, then you're also helping your body to make collagen. And instead of drinking collagen supplements, you take vitamin C.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for tuning into And One Should Know. We hope we've managed to clear some of your doubts about supplements.
I know that there's a lot within the supplement bucket, so please do leave any questions that you have for Rosemary, and we will get them to her and try to answer them as well. I think we might actually have to do another episode on supplements because there's just so much to cover.
So much.
But thank you so much for joining us on this episode today. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.